The article that we chose concerns the subject of social psychology, which examines how people affect one another and it looks at the significance of the situation. Social psychologists determine that a person's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are molded by their social situations. Within this topic, we inspected the concept of attitude, which is the evaluation of a person, an idea, or an object. Attitudes can be favorable or unfavorable. There are three components to an attitude, which are affective, behavioral, and cognitive. We trace this relation to how men and women perceive each other in certain attire situations. The article that Helen and I chose was an experiment that studied how economic status and attire correlates to attractiveness and whether or not it affects the judgment of mate choices. The article that we chose, called The Interplay Between Economic Status and Attractiveness and the Importance of Attire in Mate Choice Judgments, by Amity Gudavosos, Robert C. Brooks, and Barnaby J. W. Dixon. The article states that the purpose of the study is to determine if economic status and attire correlates to the levels of attraction between different sexes. The study gives some context in regards to what each sex finds attractive. In women, facial shape, breast morphology, and distribution of body fat are attractive to men. In men, muscularity, vocal pitch, and facial muscularity are attractive to women. Here's where the significant factors come into play for the experiment. The study gives information stating that previous studies have shown that high-status women were judged to be less attractive and approachable than high-status men, and that women's success can be judged negatively, as high-status or successful women are more frequently derogated. It also stated that men are more likely to be rated as more physically attractive when they are presented with high-status cues, such as an expensive car or an upscale apartment. The authors predicted that cues of higher social status should have a stronger positive effect on ratings of economic status and physical attractiveness in men than in women. They also predicted that women's economic status would be rated lower than the men they were presented with alongside, even if women appear to be higher in economic status than women.
This study, researchers conducted two studies to determine whether economic status and attractiveness in both men and women are correlated. So in study one, scientists recruited 1,359 adult participants and asked them to provide information about their sex, age, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, which is quantified by the Kinsey scale, a scale from 0 to 6 to determine how heterosexual and homosexual a person is. So 0 would represent the most heterosexual and 6 would represent the most homosexual. Only people who were heterosexual or bisexual, which is categorized by a Kinsey scale score of 0 to 3, were retained in the analysis, and participants were grouped in various sizes. So each participant was randomly assigned to 4 experiments where they were shown different images of people of their opposite sex and asked to rate each person, whether it was on economic status or attractiveness on a scale from 0 to 100, where 0 signified the least wealthy or least attractive, and 100 signified the most attractive or wealthy of that person. In study number 2, researchers investigated intergender perceptions of attractiveness and socioeconomic status on the basis of attire. So they recruited around 1,035 adult participants and asked them to report the same variables as mentioned in study number 1, and only retained heterosexual and bisexual participants in the analysis. So in this experiment, researchers used 12 stock photo images of men and women wearing either business or casual attire and created composite images where there were 2 randomly selected images of one person from each gender, and they were put next to each other. So participants were asked to rate the attractiveness of the person of the opposite sex in the composite photo on a scale from 0 to 100. The top row includes individual stock photos of people wearing business and casual attire that were used in this experiment, and at the bottom includes composite images that matched one person from each gender together. For the results of study 1, researchers found that the group size that the participants were placed in had no effects on male ratings of economic status, but ratings for females in the images increased with the number of men around her. And this pattern can also be seen in female ratings of economic status. Both sexes rated people wearing business attire as having a higher economic status compared to people wearing casual attire. And researchers found that attire and group size doesn't really strongly impact ratings of male attractiveness, and that women generally rated females in business attire as more attractive than men did. The charts here show the average economic status rating each person in the image received, and it found that people wearing business attire are rated on average a higher economic status by the opposite sex. In study 2, researchers found that there was a positive correlation between economic status and attractiveness in men, but a negative one between the two variables in women. When people in the images were dressed in business attire, there was a positive correlation between economic status and attractiveness when women were rating men, but a negative correlation between the two variables when men were rating women. Researchers also found that attire had little effect on how men were rated based on attractiveness, but rather socioeconomic status. So, in short, women found that men with a higher economic status were more attractive. The graphs here show the relationship between rated attractiveness of the people in the pictures and their rated economic status. So, for business attire, there's a positive correlation between the two variables. But for casual attire, in women, there was a positive correlation, but for men, there's a negative one.
Results of the study conveyed that high-status individuals, especially men, receive more favorable judgments relating to mate choice. However, whether this leads to better treatment or increased financial gain remains to be fully explored. Seemingly, men and women both benefit from being highly attractive or high status. However, this benefit is not distributed equally. Although this is consistent with factors surrounding the importance of status in males and physical attractiveness in women with mating contexts, the findings of the study reflect how this might lead to unfair judgments and, possibly, unfair treatment of both men and women. I stumbled upon this ad when I was searching for vintage ads from the 1940s and 1950s. The ad is for Pond's, an American brand of beauty and healthcare products. The advertisement shows a jubilant woman in classy attire with bright lip gloss being kissed on the cheek by her lover. On the bottom there is an image of the products the woman used, which includes Pond's lipstick and Pond's face powder. The advertisement's heading mentions how whether she is packing for the boys or meeting him on leave, she's still lovely. At the bottom of the ad, the description says that she relies on Pond's lips for lovely glowing color that stays on longer. It is transparent the goal of the advertisement is to persuade women to buy the beauty products to gain the attention of their lovers. The advertisement seems to be using the attitude strategy to get their target consumer, woman, to purchase the product so they can look good for their boyfriend or husband. The heading of the advertisement displays the intention of the product, which is for girls to look lovely for their men, no matter what the occasion is. The bottom description also mentions how the female being kissed by her lover relies on the brand's lipstick to feel loved and attracted by her men. The concept of attitude plays an imperative role in this advertisement. The attire and beauty products the woman is displaying is an essential factor for her lover being attracted to her. All of these components contribute to the concept of attitude that is displayed in this advertisement. How could the ad be changed to test the analysis? Well, if the advertisement did not have the persuasive header, description, and the image of the woman being kissed by her lover, then essentially the intention and the goal of the ad would be much different and would not have the same impact. Without these things, the ad would simply lose the idea of being attractive to your partner and the concept of attitude would be non-existent in the advertisement. Instead, it would just be a promotional ad for the beauty products with no goal in mind to benefit the consumer.
The second advertisement is for clothes from Reliance Big Yanks, which was a clothing brand in the 1940s known for its reliable work clothes. On the advert, it shows a picture of a man wearing them and lists the features of the clothing next to the man and presents the benefits of buying it, which includes its durability, its aesthetic value, and cost effectiveness. The paragraph at the bottom of the advert mentions an independent survey showing that the most worn brand of work clothes among men is from Reliance Big Yanks, and some more information about their manufacturing company. This advertisement from Reliance Big Yanks is using ethos to persuade their audience, mainly men, to buy their work clothes because they're worth it for their price, since those clothes are not only durable but can also make the man who wears it more attractive, especially to women. The man in the advertisement is standing up with a straight posture, which signals that wearing the advertised clothes can help one become more confident at work and other aspects of their life. In this case, confidence helps men achieve greater career success, which helps them be more attractive to women, as women tend to find men with a higher economic status more attractive. The overall color scheme of the advert is blue, and that color is used in advertising, namely in software and banking companies, which both require employees to have a degree of professionalism. And blue as a color in logos arouses trust in the viewer and signals trustworthiness and success. And with that, that also embodies the ethos tactic, since at the bottom paragraph, it includes a survey which shows that Reliance Big Yanks are the most worn clothing brand among men, which may indicate that that brand is really good for its value, and therefore men are more likely to buy it.